king of what? Forget all that. Today we're going to review Monster Menace America. Let's check it out. Alright, so here's what the board game looks like. I've already done some basic setup to speed up the review a little bit. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to be playing one of these beautiful little monsters here. You got, let's see if I can bring them all out here. There's the Lobster Man. I can't remember what all the names are right now. I'll get the player boards in a minute. There's the King Kong-like guy, the giant cricket, who's just awesome. You have the little purple blob monster thing. You have the Godzilla type monster and the giant eyeball, which is one of my little nephew's favorites. And you're going to pick one of these monsters, 1 to 4 players. And what you're going to do to decide who goes first, you're going to roll this die. And whoever gets the highest roll, they get to pick their monster first. And then they're going to pick their military unit last. So whoever went last in the monster pick goes first in the military pick, kind of evens everything out. Because you're going to be playing as the monster and one of the 4 branches of the military. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. But what you're going to do is you're going to pick your monster up and you're going to place them on the board wherever you see their symbol. So Lobster Man has symbols here, here, and here. I'll place him up here, let's say. Eyeball Guy has symbols here and here and here. Let's put him here. And Purple Blob Monster Dude, let's see, there. And as you see, you can go around putting them wherever you want, wherever you feel like it. He can even start in the water there. And you also get their adjacent player board there that goes along with it. There they are. Their names are Conch and whatnot. As you see, they have these little clips that go on the side, and it even tells you what their starting health is. It even gives you, like he has 11 health, you know, so a little bit more health. So let's just look at one of these guys here. Oh, the Toxicor. That's the purple dude. Okay, he starts with 9 health. Ooh, that's kind of weak. But let's read about him. Okay, he has a starting health of 9. He moves 4 spaces, land and lakes. As you see, there's a few lakes over here that he can move through. Some characters can't even go through those lake tokens unless it says they can. Some will say land only, like, oh, there you go, Conch can only do land only. So anyway, he can move up to 4 spaces. Some move differently too, like he can only fly 3 spaces. Gargantus can. And then his defense is a 4, which means when you attack the Toxicor, you have to hurt him by rolling a 4 or better. As you gain health, you'll be moving these slides up and down. Like when I get to 10, I'll move this to 0, move this up 1. They attack, it says it's a 3. That means they attack with 3 dice. They give you 3 dice in the game. However, I do have extra dice that I brought into this game because you may need it. I believe you would need some extra 6-sided die. 3 may not be enough. And then, of course, they do damage on a 3 or more. And when they hit, they do 3 damage. Now, each one of them have a special ability. His is when this monster mutates, draw 2 mutation cards and pick one, then shuffle the other one back into the mutation deck. And I'll get to that when we talk about mutation cards. But each one of these have their own little special ability that you can use in the game when they say you can. So what you'll do is you'll just pick one of the people on the board. Let's pick the Godzilla-like character. Let's say I pick him. Everyone else picks their monsters. There's usually only 4, but just for this review, I'm just putting them all on the board here. And then everyone's going to pick one of the branches of the military, the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Marines. Now, each one of these can do different things, and they tell you very specifically on the player board what they can do. So, for instance, the Army, they can move up to 4. These tanks can. So can the missile launchers there. They can move 4. Their defense is a 5, meaning the monster would have to roll a 5 or more to hit one of us. And the damage that we do when we roll and we hit the monster, we beat that monster's value. Remember, well, on this guy, his defense is a 4. So if I roll a 4 or better, my tanks are going to do 1 damage. Same thing for my missile launchers, except their defense is a 3, so they're easier to kill than the tanks, and they do damage of a 1. Now, sometimes they will have special, and they'll tell you what the special is. Each one has a little special ability, just like the monsters. The armed forces will also have a special ability. They can have fighters, tanks, missiles, nuclear submarines, and whatnot. So there's a lot of cool things. Each one of the military are all different, just like the monsters are slightly different. So anyway, you're going to grab one of these, as you're moving pieces around, pieces may get damaged, killed by the monsters. You'll put them on the player board here, and you'll redeploy them later on. I'll get to that in a minute. But the first thing you're going to do, let's say I am the army and Godzilla wannabe here. So I get to move 4 spaces. I'm going to move Godzilla here, 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you see, I am going to attack this little Air Force base. Now, the little bases, you can tell where they are because they have the little stars that match the color of whatever military unit you are. And if I were to successfully beat this fighter jet here and stomp this, then they could not respawn there. I limit their ability of where I can respawn when I'm stomping on their places. So if I want to stomp him out, what I'll do is, of course, I will roll attack with 3 die, and since I'm attacking one of the Air Force things, his defense is a 4. So I have to roll a 4 or better to kill him. Let's see if I can do it. Boom, that's it, a 4, 4, and a 6. So I easily defeated him. He's going to come back on, whoever the Air Force is, he's going to come on that guy's player board just like so, and he'll be out of the game. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a special stomp token on that space to show that it's been destroyed. And that's the end of my turn for the monster. Remember, I still get to move my army. My tanks can move 4. My missile launchers can move 4 as well. So I can maybe gang them up, and look at this guy. Look at Conch here. He's in between 3 of my tanks and a missile launcher. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, I can't get to him there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, so there's these 3. So I converge on him, all 3 of them together. Well, now I can attack Conch. But whenever you're attacking someone, if it's a monster, the monster always rolls first. Now, if we look at Conch here, Conch has an attack of 3 as well, and my defense, though, is really high. He's got to roll a 5 or more to defeat my 2. Well, I only have 1 tank there, and oh, my missile launchers are 3 or less. I should have made those tanks. So here he goes. He's going to roll the die. And he got, oh, good, good, good. He only got 1 4. The other one was a 1 and a 2. So in that case, he can't take out my tank. The only person he can take out is my missile launcher, so he takes 1 of those out. Well, now it's my turn to retaliate. Of course, this would go on my little player board like so. And so to retaliate, I've got 1 tank and 1 missile launcher. All right, so if you look on here, I can roll 1 die for each vehicle I have there, and I've got to roll what's Conch's defense, a 4 or higher to hurt him. So here we go. Hopefully I can hurt him bad. Oh man, double 3s. But let's say I cheated when they weren't looking and I rolled a 5 and a 6. Alright, so what would happen is Conch's player board would go down to 0 here, and over here it'd go down to 8 because I damaged him twice. And then the round would go 1 more turn. Now, at the end of the round, if he didn't destroy all my vehicles, then I'll move them over to the side and I survive the battle. If I survive the battle, I'm going to get a military research card, and this is going to help me in my battle against the big monsters. This always helps the military people. That would be the end of my turn, unless I wanted to move anyone else. Maybe I wanted to attack the praying mantis guy, but let's just say that was it. Well, the next thing you do, once you do all your moves and all your fights, you can do any encounters that's going to happen. For instance, if I would have stomped on some of these other places, let's say I would have stomped on, where's this place? Birmingham. It says 1 HP. That means if I stomped on it, then I would get to gain a health. So I would go from 11 to 12. If I stomped on Tampa, which is right next to me, it says 1D. What does that mean? Well, I get to roll 1 die and accumulate that much health from stomping Tampa. And so I only got 2. That was weak sauce there. But I would move up 2. And of course, every time I move to these areas, like Birmingham or Tampa, I have to put a stomp token because no one else can go there. I've destroyed that city. Now, there are some areas, like if you see up here, Baltimore, that's Washington, D.C. area, you get to roll 2 die for health. And over in New York and Los Angeles, you get to roll 3 die in health. So there's a lot of ways to build up health here. Now, what are some other places I can stomp? Well, I can stomp some place that says infamy. These are infamous places like the Alamo, Fort Knox, Graceland, Cape Canaveral, the largest ball of twine. It's hilarious. But when you go to an infamy marker and you stomp that one, you're going to get an infamy point. And it looks like this hot Dorito here. So you get one, actually you're going to get 2 points for everything you smash, unless you have a monster or a card that tells you differently. Sometimes they'll give you more infamy points. And they come in denominations of 1 and 5. What you can do is during any battle, you can cash in one of these infamy points and roll an additional attack. So this just makes you even more dangerous because you're the guy known for smashing the world's largest ball of twine. So usually what people do is they keep these to the end for the final battle, and I'll get to that in a minute, but you can use them against military if you just need to stay alive. That's another thing. What would happen if I was down to my last point in the military, you know, the other three players gained up all their military on me and they killed me? What would happen to me? Well, I would go to Hollywood. My character would go over here and he'd film a bunch of movies until he could get powerful again, land in Los Angeles. If it's not already stomped, I could stomp it and roll 3 die for health, and then move on my merry way and start killing people again. But how you do that is every turn I would roll a die. And when I roll the die, I get that much health. Oh, that was excellent. I got a 6. If you get a 5 or a 6, you automatically escape Hollywood because all you need is 5 health points. If I'd have rolled a 1, I'd had to stay in Hollywood. If I'd have rolled a 3, I'd have been at 4, I would have still stayed in Hollywood. Only when you get to 5 or 6 can you escape Hollywood and go back out, causing havoc among the states. That's what happens when a monster dies. What else happens? After everyone is gone, you're going to go to the deploy phase. And in the deploy phase, it will tell you how many units you can deploy from your card. So mine says place 2 units. And as you see here, most of them have 2 units there. Well, the Marines have 3 units there. But mine says 2 units and either Army or National Guard. What? National Guard? There's some National Guard. They're kind of light orange here. And you can also place them. Now, any players can move the National Guard around the board. They're kind of like the all players at first. And so you can move one or the other, or plus one National Guard unit, or you can draw a military research card. If you don't want to deploy or you don't have any units to deploy because all your units are still on the board, you can grab another one of these great military research cards. Now I want to take a minute and talk about these military research cards because they have a lot of special cards in the deck that can give you special abilities in the game. For instance, you can take over one of these mini monsters, and it's Captain Colossal and the Mecha Monster, and they have their own little player boards here, and there's a special card in the military research that will give you control of one or the other. And so you would put them on the board wherever it's stated, and then you can move around fighting the monsters with these units. Now, these units cannot be attacked by the military, and they cannot attack military units. They are kind of like the good guys too, and they go off, and they'll cause a little bit of trouble and a little bit of damage from the monsters, as you can read their board. They don't have much health, and once they are defeated, they don't go to Hollywood, they just get discarded. Other things you could get. You could actually pull a card that makes you the commander of the National Guard. So all these National Guard units that are out everywhere, you get to move them around. And it'll tell you right now, it says, oh, you can't move them. You can just place them on the board. No, there's a card in there that lets you start commanding the National Guard. And so now you're mobilizing your National Guard out there. You got 2 military units to do some attacking. That's very powerful. And then there's another one that gives you access to these 2 little black fighter jets that have little special abilities too. So the military unit cards have a lot of cool things for the players to attack the monsters with. But before I say the monsters are outgunned, there are other things to help the monsters. As you see here, we have some mutate spots on the board. Now each monster can hit each mutate spot on the board once per game. That's it. So if I already hit this, well, I wouldn't put a stomp token there, but I would just know that I could not go there again. I'd have to go someplace else. So each monster can get up to 4 mutate cards or more, depending on your character. Some characters can get more mutate cards than others. And mutation cards will help power up your monster to help him cause more menace in America than ever before. And they're very self-explanatory. Now at the end of the game, what's going to happen is the person who uses the last stomp card, let's say this was the last stomp card and I played it here. Okay, from then on out, I am the challenger. I am about to win the game. Everyone else has one more turn to try to get to one of these little spots. And if you can't see them, they're like little shadows of two monsters fighting. You're trying to get there so you can duke it out with the challenger. Now, if you were in Hollywood during this, the last stomp token being placed, you are out of the game because you can't fight while you're in Hollywood. So you would automatically be out of the game, any monsters in Hollywood. But anyway, every player is going to try their best to get to one of these spots, and maybe they almost made it, maybe they did. If no one makes it, which would be almost impossible unless you played a two-player game and one guy was way out in Timbuktu, then you would win, uncontested. If one of them makes it in there, then you two would duke it out and fight, cashing in all of your infamy tokens for extra attacks if you haven't used them all fighting military units. And if there's more than two, then the challenger will pick one to fight. So in this example, I would have 16 points starting off, he would have 12. Let's say I beat him, and I went down, after that big battle, I went down to like 4. What does that mean? Remember, I started at 16. I would go back to 16, plus I would take the original 12 that Conch started off with before the battle, which would give me a whopping 28, and then I'd attack the next person. Now, before you say, well, hold on, Matt, that seems unfair because now they have double the power. Yeah, but I probably used a lot of my infamy in that battle, and I don't have any extra bonus attacks, where the next challenger will have infamy, and they can really attack me and really knock me down, so that's why I needed the extra points. Now, the monster left standing is the Menace to America. All right, so final thoughts. What do I think about Monster Menace America? Well, obviously, King of Tokyo, King of New York are a lot more streamlined, easier to play. This one can get clunky at times. However, that being said, I love that you get to play as the armed forces as well. I love that you get the special monsters like the little robot and Captain Colossus, which I think is awesome. You get to control the National Guard after a while, which is super powerful. Or those 2 black fighter jets, which no one's gotten that card yet in our games yet, so I don't know how good they are. But either way, it is nice that you can get these kind of extra weapons to help you defeat the other monsters. The only thing I've noticed about the game, though, is it does sway you to move to the east, to the west coast. Because once you die, you get stuck in Los Angeles, there's no reason to go back east coast. That being said, maybe a monster wants to stomp around the east coast and really level up a lot. But to be honest, there's only one power-up for the monsters to get, one mutation square there, where in the West Coast, there's a lot more. So it seems like all the monsters would want to go to the West Coast to get those special abilities. I don't know. I haven't played it, I guess, enough to determine if there's other strategies. But I'll be honest, I really do love the game. I love miniatures, so of course, obviously, this is a game for me. Is it a game for everyone? No. If you have King of Tokyo, King of New York, keep your King of Tokyo and King of New York. This game will not beat it. Now, I don't own King of Tokyo or King of New York, but everyone else does. So whenever I want to play it, I can go to my nephews. They have them. And play it with them. For me, my version, Monster Menace America, I like this. I like it stomping around the good US of A. I like stomping on popular, landmarks like Mount Rushmore and the world's largest ball of twine. That's just funny to me. And, fighting the other monsters, it works. The game actually works pretty well. Like I said, not as streamlined as the other ones, and if you want a big monster game, you might want to go for the other ones. But if you want to spend just a little bit more money and get some nice figures, it's a pretty cool board game. You should check it out. Avalon Hill never fails, right? All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. Until next time, game on.